So you have been asked to play the E minor Etude by Ferling for probably a competition like the region competition if you're in the state of Texas. And we only played down through the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. And you would first want to start with measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, measure 7. The piece looks like this. And the book looks like this. So you'll need to buy that to avoid copyright infringement and going to jail. But Ferling was an interesting guy. Well, not really. He was an oboist, and he worked as a court composer in the early 1800s, and he's best known for his etudes. He wrote 48 of them for oboe and for saxophone. So we get the opportunity to play it. And again, we'll probably want to start with measure 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you've already listened to this and want more practice, and just finger along as I say the note names. So the note names are A, E natural, D sharp, which is the same thing as E flat. You think sharp is higher, so you go to the next note and put A flat on it. So it's A, E, D sharp, which is the same as E flat. E natural, E sharp, so you go up to the next note, F, well that's a natural half step, so it's going to be the same as F natural. F sharp, G, A sharp, G sharp, which is the same as A flat. So G sharp, you think, I'm going to go up to A because that's the next note, because it's a sharp, it's higher, and I'm going to put a flat on it. And so G sharp is the same thing as A flat. A, G sharp carries through, so that'll be an A flat, G sharp again. B natural, A, C, B, D, C, and then high E, C, A, F sharp, E. So again, it's A, E, D sharp, E. E sharp, which is the same thing as F, F sharp, G, G sharp, which is the same thing as A flat, A, G sharp, which is the same thing as A flat, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, C, A, F sharp, and then it ends on E. So if you've already listened to this video and you want to practice, you want to mark 2 minutes and 40 seconds because you'll want to start from here the next time, because we're just going to practice going A, E, D sharp, E, E sharp, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, G sharp, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, C, A, F sharp, E. And we're going to go ahead and play it one note at a time so you actually will get all of the right notes and train your ear correctly. And yes, those last 5 notes are a lot longer than the 30-second notes that are before it. So they're actually twice as long as those 30-second notes, and so you want to make sure that you hold those out. You should have played with that, and if you missed that, let's do it again. Go ahead and play. And then you'll want to get that under your fingers and speed that up. But that's a good start. The next thing you'll want to do is go ahead and grab a pencil. And we need to mark some counts. So the first counts you'll want to mark is on this first measure. And we have the 8th note equals 1 beat. And that means that if the 8th note equals 1 beat, there are 2 8th notes and a quarter note. And so that would mean the quarter note would get 2 beats. Sounds weird, probably, but it works. So the dotted half note is equal to, the dotted quarter note is equal to a quarter note plus an 8th note. So it's 1.5 beats, which means when the 8th note gets a beat, it'll be 3 counts. okay, because it's a quarter note, which gets 2 beats, plus an eighth note. So 2 plus 1 is 3 if we're doing higher math. So we would put 1, 2, 3 little lines right there on that E, and it's going to be the same length. Each one of those beats are going to be the same length as each one of these eighth notes. So it's going to go E, G, F sharp, D sharp. So we're going to put the metronome on. And metronomes you can get on your phone as apps. They're free now. I used to get them as a stocking stuffer in my stocking because they were so expensive. I had to wait for Christmas to get one. So probably about 60. This is a good app for it. Probably about 60 would be a good tempo to start out with. This first measure is going to sound like this. Again, we have the D sharp in there, which is the same thing as the E flat, and E gets 3 beats. So E, G, F sharp, D sharp. Go back and finger that as I was counting it. E, G, F sharp, D sharp. Then we go on to the next measure. The hardest thing about this is the counting, so you'll want to make sure you get that right from the very, very beginning. Then each one of these eighth notes get 1 beat. That's pretty easy, right? Then we're going to start by looking at the dotted eighth note 16th right there. And that dotted eighth note, well, let's see, an eighth note gets 1 beat, and there are two 16th notes per eighth note. So let's see, eighth note, bum, bum. That's going to be how you count this. 1 and 2. So 1, that's an and right there. Okay, now if you're using the tay system, it's 1, tay, 3, or 1 and 3. Okay, so let's play that measure. Yes, I always like to go on to the next measure because it completes the phrase, which is a musical sentence. And if I were to stop at the bar line, it would be like me stop. Well, you get the idea. All right, so the first 2 measures into the third measure, which is a high E, is going to be like this. Again, I'm going to play it one more time, and that way you can kind of go back and play it with this. And luckily it has this crescendo up to that high E, and the high E is fingered like this, thumb 1, 2, 1, 2, and no pinky. That's a little trick of the trade. If you don't use your pinky, it'll be much better in tune, and like coming from other certain notes, it won't squeak or crack. So not always, but most of the time, go ahead and lift your pinky for high E. You're going to skip the grace notes in the third measure. So if you skipped the grace notes, we have that eighth note beat right here. Okay, and then we have that, and then we have this dotted eighth rhythm, which we had over here. So I'm going to look over here, and I'm going to say, oh, this was counted like 1, 2, and 3. That's exactly how I need to count this one. So 1, 2, and 1. So this will be 1, 2, 3 for that dotted quarter note, and then 1 beat for that eighth note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1. Or 5, 6, tay, 1. Okay, so that measure sounds like this. With the metronome, I'm going to go ahead and tongue the subdivisions, which means the underlying beat, and then that way you'll know you're holding exactly right and you can feel those beats. It sounds like this. Just like that. So the whole first line, we've had a good working session here. We're going to review everything that we've done, and you can call that a day for your practicing on this etude. Don't forget to practice your other etude and your scales and your tone exercises and all the things that your teacher, oh, and don't forget about your band music too. But let's finish the first line here, play what we learned, and then we're going to go and play measure 7 so you can get an idea of how to do that. The next session will be on the ending, so you might want to start fingering through that and getting an idea of what it is before you watch the next video. Okay, from the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and tongue the subdivisions. It's good practice. You're not going to perform it this way, but it's good for you to feel those beats. Okay, and now we're going to go to the measure 7, and we're going to go 1 note per beat, so it's nice and slow. If this were the actual tempo for the piece, starting at the beginning with the 8th note getting 1 beat, it would sound like this. Measure 7 would sound like this. So don't go any faster than 60, which is 1 note per, or 1/8 note per beat, because I don't think you're going to be able to go that fast on that fast measure for a while. I bet you will be able to go faster, but give it a few more practice sessions. Anyway, I hope you had a very encouraging time with this, and that you'll continue to practice and review this website, review this video when you need help, and good luck on your endeavors.